Carson Beck is one of those polarizing quarterbacks in today's landscape for the fact that a lot of people are saying that this guy could be a first-round quarterback. Not me, but you know, the national media is saying this, or that he can get them to the promised land, to another national championship, or could possibly be a Heisman candidate or winner at this point in time, which he came in as being one of the favorites. So let's break down what they did against Kentucky, because obviously they struggled and a lot of us had talked about that. But let's pull up the 4 or 5 plays I have here and just see how he progressively started out a little rocky to making one of the best throws of his career so far against a really good Kentucky defense that threw a lot at him. A lot of these plays that he had throughout the game were, a bunch of runs that he had to improvise on the feet because his offensive line couldn't really hold up against some of the pass rushers that they had, but they were actually great in a lot of aspects of the game. So let's get into the film and show you exactly what I'm seeing from his perspective. All right, so what we're looking at here is pretty much Carson Beck's first pass play of the game. This is a formation I like to call pistol deuce H combo right, meaning that you have 2 eligible receivers to the left side of the field and 2 to the right, a 2x2 formation and 12 personnel. As we can see, our Y is here, our H back is going to be this tight end, and then what we're going to have here is our Z, our X, and our tailback here with our Q right here. So kind of what they're going to run on this play is a double curl formation, which is a 10-yard curl here. Your Y is going to come in inside, split these 2 linebackers here for a curl route as well. You're going to have your X kind of come up here in the seam and split. What this is going to do is trying to force at least this safety here to either peek at the Y or to peek the X and give an extra bit of work to help out his safety over here. What this is going to do, depending on how he runs his route, what you're going to see is going to be kind of in the middle of the field. This safety is the one that's going to be thrown off a little bit. Kind of why we call it H combo right, is we're going to try to get a block towards this side to either seal off this edge if he comes around this right tackle, or to get this corner. So this is cover 2 zone, traditional coverage, and then this tailback is going to be here in the flat. So let's watch this play turn out. So Carson is not even looking at anybody else that could be open. Again, there's really no hot man here or any rusher that we can tell that's trying to give us a look of a traditional blitz. But we do see that the Y is actually off of the weak side backer here. The strong side backer kind of pills inside, tries to take out the X, and it's going to seal this outside here just in case the running back gets around. But if the right tackle decides to pill out and pick up this linebacker here, or the H-back chips off just enough for this guy to get outside, this would be also an option here for Carson Beck. Carson Beck's first read is obviously, this Z receiver over here. This could be an alert just in case this guy was to come down. He gets outside leverage here, depending on what the safety's looking at. But what we're going to see is Carson Beck's going to try to just get a fast pass off to the Z. Now, one thing about this is like we broke down, Oscar Delp was right there across the middle. As you see, there was obviously a play in the flat. The right tackle kind of spills out a little bit and allows the rusher inside, which is actually good enough help here, because you're going to force this guy to get onto the tailback outside in the flat, which the running back could make a couple moves to get upfield. Also, there's a huge gap here with the offensive alignment. Now, with that being said, what Georgia does on a game-to-game basis is they run a lot of inside zone. So, for us to see this much daylight in the middle can get, Carson Beck is known to run, so he could have got upfield. Now, this is a 2nd and 7. It's in the first quarter. 14 minutes, 33 seconds on the clock on their 28 on the left side hash here. So you're going to see, a bunch of combo blocks happening here. which, you know, all this right tackle had to do was either peel him inside, but it looks like he slipped a little bit. But all in all, he kind of sat there for a little bit and went through his progression. I think obviously the Z was his 1, maybe 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗶𝗲𝘀𝗀 was his 2, your 3 was probably in the flat, or your check down was here, and then obviously your alert was probably out here, depending on what this safety, you know, decided to do on this play. But let's see this. The pass just gets right outside of the receiver here on the Z. Really bad pass. I mean, to be completely honest, the guy was shadowing him the whole time. He was right on top of him. But more, you know, in the curl route, to throw the ball on the outside shoulder, or the outside of the numbers when he's peeling inside, you really want this to be on the money if you're trying to advance this down the field. But obviously, with the protection that he had up front and the way that he didn't go through his progressions, he stared. I mean, if you look at the stripe on it, I always say look at the stripe on the helmet, will tell you the exact direction that this ball was getting thrown to. Never really got his feet set all that great either. As you see, his feet are kind of slanted, but never really setting a great base to throw this pass. And what you're just going to see is a less than mediocre pass here to start out the game. Now, with a quarterback like this, you would love for him to routinely get this out and make these type of passes. They're going to ask him to do this a lot in the NFL, but this is just one of the reasons why starting out the game on a second down, you don't really want to see this. If you're in a short yardage situation, it's 2nd and 7, all you had to do, obviously get 5 yards here, get a couple yards here, and make it easier in your offense to advance up the field, maybe utilizing the inside zone like they had been doing at this point in time. All right, now we start getting to the good stuff. So this is the first drive and the first play coming back from halftime. Kentucky is up 9-3, balls on the 25. Seems like they started their drives here a lot off the kickoffs. Now, this is where 12 personnel gets really, really crazy. And the way that Mike Bobo utilized this on this play, even though it didn't end up being a conversion, is one of the best things that you'll see out of this offense. So what you see here, you're going to have your receiver get outside release. He's going to fake the bootleg, gets back inside, and he's going to throw across his body, which is a difficult throw for him to make here. And it doesn't advance downfield, but I love the fact that they took a shot. So when we're looking at the personnel groupings here, of course, we got our H-back. They love using that. This tight end is going to be your Y. This is going to be your Z, and this is going to be your X. The Z receiver is going to be in motion, and he's going to get outside leverage, and he's just going to run an outside, outside run on the go, stay as close to the hash marks as possible. Your X receiver is going to run almost a 15-20 yard in here to split the defense, to make sure that these safeties are down, and the only guy that he'll have to beat is one of these, either this inside guy here or this corner. Whoever gets confused is the one that's going to get beat. The way to utilize the tight end in this formation is, I believe this is Oscar Delp. Oscar Delp's going to get inside and make sure he chips, regardless if it's this guy coming down, or this inside linebacker or this outside linebacker here, and then just try to get upfield, making sure that there's no pressure on the QB at all. This other tight end is going to try to take a lot of people with him and become a threat by just running a drag route right across the middle of the field here. And then, of course, your running back's kind of going to stay in the flat like he has been doing this whole time. What this does is this keeps your offense, it keeps the defense guessing on who you're going to throw it to. Now, watch number 11 goes in motion. Everybody starts to cheat down. The box is tight right now. You got one lowly man here and one lonely man here. These guys are going to want to play the inside because, of course, Georgia's been running inside zone the whole time. Oscar Delp chips this guy, which is going to give a little bit more time for Carson Beck to run the bootleg to this side. He's looking, doesn't see anything. Guy, the defender goes up, tries to bat the ball down. Next thing we're looking for is this guy's obviously getting beat, but we don't want to throw it here because he's sitting on top of our receiver that was in motion. The safety has to drag himself all the way over here, but just like this safety either has to watch this receiver or the guy underneath, which is a very difficult thing for a safety to do. He decides to stick with the guy underneath. Carson sees that, tries to come back, set his feet, and he's going to try to catch this guy out here, and it just does not work. Tries his best to get there. It's a difficult throw to make. He already had a lot of pressure in his face, but you could see a lot of the things that people like about Carson Beck, being able to use his mobility a little bit. Maybe he could have got his body a little, a little bit more set to make this throw, but it's way too far in front of him, and the receiver's not able to come down with the catch. I like the concept. I like everything that was being run. I like the beginning of the play where, you have your tight ends getting involved into a lot of things on the field. A guy running inside drag, a guy chipping that edge with 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗶𝗲𝗀𝗀, making these defenders confused. And as you see, there was no help on this side of the field. And the diversions between both of these tight ends is very important, especially in 12 personnel. You have to understand that these guys can go down the field and make plays as well. We've seen that a lot with Brock Bowers last year, and we're seeing that a lot. Hopefully we'll see more of it this year from Georgia's offense. All right, so this is the play that Carson Beck wanted to respond after throwing crossbody. It's still on the 25, 8:56 to go on the clock. What we're going to see here is kind of a smash concept. So instead of both receivers in the middle of the field, which would be this tight end and this Y, instead of them running two corner routes, totally, they're just running fly routes or 9 routes here, and then you're going to have your usual smash with two 15-yard hitch routes right here. But essentially the concept itself is the same to beat cover 4 or cover 2 in this situation. And what we see is a great completion by Carson Beck while getting a little bit of pressure in his face. He's got both edges crashing this time, which is something that they really weren't seeing this game. And I think the second half adjustment was to put more pressure on the Carson Beck and make him get the ball out a lot faster. Now, the thing that, was this a good pass? Reading that this guy was going to stop, and it all was dependent on what this defensive line was doing. Now, if this nickelback really thought that they got to the quarterback and he stopped, I can understand that, but you kind of got to stick with your guy. Good on Carson for reading this so fast and getting the ball where he needed. Was it a little short? Yeah. Honestly, if I'm reading this concept and I really like it, I'm probably going to hit this hitch right here from this receiver. But, tomato, the pass worked and it got off in time, and he split both of the guys in coverage. And we get a little closer look here at Carson and how he's running this. Now, what's interesting is the edges just crashed super hard, which put pressure on both the guards. Once this guy got loose inside the B, once this guy was going to take the B gap this way, left a lot of pressure on the running back to get inside too, and it was just too much. It was way too confusing for Georgia to defend after, they're doing really well in their blocking schemes. As far as reading who's the hot guy here? Well, it could be him, or it could be the guy with, both his hands in the dirt. Whatever the pre-snap adjustments were, would you take 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀 out of here and chip this guy? Would you, have this guy play more outside to help the left tackle out? That's a lot to be determined on what Carson was seeing. But if they haven't gave him this look all game, of course 73 is just getting beat. There was no chip there. 73 just got beat by that edge guy, and he still got it off. But this is what's you're gonna be asked to do a lot in the next level in the NFL. So you're really glad that he's able to make this type of throw with pressure in his face, And that's really a great positive. Watching that corner drop and thinking that you're going to get hit, and he catches us right in between the corner and the safety. This is a great play overall. All right, so this is one of the best throws of the weekend, and probably one of the best, one of the highlights of Carson Beck's career so far. So they're still down. This is the same drive as before. 7 minutes and 45 seconds. The ball's on the 47, so they're advancing the ball after a penalty as well. As you're gonna see here, the offensive line, I want to call out, was absolutely at points they were great. Now you have a read where the tight end is going all the way up the outside, the wide receiver is going to stick to the inside, and then you're going to have two receivers that are going to cut in for, pretty much a levels concept like this. But one thing that I want you guys to pay attention to is this receiver not only splitting the tight end, the safety, and the corner. The tight window throw, the pocket was immaculate, and it had time for him to just think and throw the ball downfield. And the ball placement, the anticipation, the poise in the pocket was all great. Again, running that same fake inside like they're doing the inside zone, and their offensive line is just doing whatever they wanted to with their defensive line. Now, again, the throw itself, when he has time to sit there, set his feet, and to make a good throw and not lean backwards, lean that shoulder all the way backwards like he's been doing at some points of the game. This is the type of stuff that Carson Beck can do. And it was an excellent throw. It was an excellent read, and for him to just stay poised in the pocket. This is around the speed that you want him to get it out. You want him to scan the field, look to the two outside guys that were up there, noticing that they had guys over top or underneath that could come in and swoop in an interception and make a difficult throw. You got a guy trailing, the safeties are over the top, but if he put it in his chest, he's going to catch this ball. And this was one of the key moments in the game that kind of got their momentum moving forward for them to actually beat Kentucky, because Carson Beck was in a game where he had to run a lot and make things happen because of Kentucky's defense is so dynamic. I mean, look, they're running zone the whole time. They knew exactly that they have very athletic linebackers that can drop back in coverage, and then you see a throw like this and it's chef's kiss. So hopefully see more things like this out of Carson. Well, as you see, it started off rough, like I said, and it got better and better and better as the game went on. Missed one of the most important throws of the game, but they squeaked one out. Georgia's an interesting team because we really don't know their mold. And like, 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗂𝘂 had said earlier this week, he thinks that they could lose against Alabama, but if he continues to play like he did at the beginning of the game versus the second half of the game, and if this offensive line can hold up, they might see some success. Or if they don't hold up, then they might see maybe more than one loss this season. But it's very interesting. Carson Beck, I feel like, has the tools to be a great quarterback, but I have yet to be convinced that is so. But let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. Appreciate you guys watching this, and if you want to see more like this, more breakdowns like this, please let me know, and I'll be sure to make this a weekly series if I can. This has been Dante with East Coast Gridiron. Appreciate you guys coming through. We'll talk to you guys next time.